In the dark night, numerous footsteps echoed amidst the heavy rain. A group of people silently advanced, each wearing glasses, looking extremely intimidating. They were entering a building washed in a hazy pink glow. The man leading, with a cigarette clenched between his lips, was the captain, his face revealing clear discomfort. The whole group walked in formation, absolute order, following directly behind the two leaders. Beside the man with the cigarette was a young man wearing dark glasses. The two of them opened the door and stepped inside. As the door swung open, the room instantly lit up. Scattered across the floor were numerous strange objects. In the center of the room was a brightly glowing talisman, from which emanated misty vapors. In the distance, bizarre souls crowded and hid within the shimmering light. Upon the talisman, several eyes stared wide open, scanning the surroundings with cold gazes. The captain took a deep drag on his cigarette, but when he looked up, a strange space suddenly appeared before his eyes. Overlapping images, blood and chaos. A starry sea, shattered prisons, a world destroyed, awakening blood, collapsing fortresses. Turned out to be just a dream. This young man with black hair is our main character. He suddenly sprang up, clutching his head, exhaling sharply to calm himself. He reached for a glass of water on the table, took a sip, then picked up his phone. His hoarse voice softly uttered, "Indeed, it's very dangerous outside." Suddenly, sheets of paper flew wildly into the room from somewhere, startling him. He stood up abruptly, looking out the window as the strong wind swept through, carrying many scattered objects in its chaotic flow. How strange. I clearly closed the window. He hurriedly put on his coat and stepped outside quickly. No, I have to get the painting back. Otherwise, people will think I'm a cult follower. He dashed down the stairs. As soon as he reached the front door, before him was a horrifying scene. Bodies lying everywhere, surrounded by strange creatures with pointed heads and eyes glowing red like embers. They turned to look, and he immediately sensed something was wrong. He panicked, turned his head, and ran, raced straight back to his room, closed the door tightly, then crouched down, trembling. "Back off, or I'll call the special department," he shouted between rapid breaths. After a while, the room fell silent again. He glanced anxiously around, tense to the extreme. The young man now didn't know what was happening outside. He muttered, "Has he left yet?" Then he crouched down, pulled out his phone. "No, I should quickly call the special department." He glanced out the window, where long black sharp claws were reaching in. "Hello, special department. Why is no one answering?" No sooner had he finished speaking than the window glass suddenly shattered. Outside rang out the scream of a demonic voice. "It was you who dared spy on us worshipping the spider god earlier, right?" Outside the window, a human-headed spider monster with countless limbs crawled in. It opened its mouth full of sharp teeth and croaked, "Lowly, inferior, and despicable creature." The young man, seeing this terrifying sight, shouted loudly, quickly grabbed a chair and threw it straight at the spider monster's face. The monster with long, disheveled hair and blood-red eyes charged forward, screaming, "It's useless for you to struggle." Terrified, he turned and ran desperately, the spider spirit chasing after him, its terrifying hissing sound echoing. "You can't escape." He kept running and running until he rushed into another room and slammed the door shut. But the spider spirit used its massive body to press the warped door, its voice echoing down the hallway. "Come out. Quickly take out your pen for me." The door was about to be broken down, and he panicked, not knowing what to do. "It's over. There's no way to escape now." Suddenly, a strange voice echoed out of nowhere. "Host, do you want to continue living?" He was startled and looked around. "Who's there? Who's there?" Suddenly, a misty haze appeared, and from it emerged a pale hand. Gradually, the figure of a woman appeared. She wore a hood and her eyes were covered with a black cloth. Her expression was cold like a fallen angel right before our unlucky protagonist. As soon as she appeared, she spoke confidently, "I am the monster editing system." Hearing this and seeing her, he blinked in confusion and asked, "The monster system? Are you also a dark god?" The perfectly poised woman pointed. A spot of light appeared, and she said, "What I am doesn't matter. This is the new player reward for you." Immediately, A glowing chest appeared before him from that spot of light. The system standing beside him said, "Inside are 5 basic types of data, randomly selected from thousands, even tens of thousands of worlds. You can combine them to create your own affiliated monsters." Miniature system blueprints appeared in the chest, each bearing a different descriptive image. The young man still looked confused and asked, "What is this?" The dark engraved system replied, "Their growth depends on your combinations. Once you successfully create them, you will receive innate energy from the affiliated monsters. Your hand is the chaotic hand that creates the monster world." He was a bit embarrassed, scratching his cheek. "You're overestimating me too much." Then, as if suddenly remembering, he said, "Almost forgot. There are still monsters outside." Just then, the door was about to be shattered. He hurriedly asked, "Dark engraved system, can I fuse all these data sets together?" She answered, "You can, but remember, there must be compatibility among the data. Otherwise, it'll be like mixing coffee with strawberries. It's really bad." He stepped closer to the door, chuckling softly. "That's quite a unique example." Then he reached out and selected from the system blueprints, saying confidently, "I know what to do now." He spread his arms, power swirling and gathering, shouting loudly, "Unnamed monsters, obey my will. Listen to this call. Respond and submit. Follow the creator of the world." He closed his eyes tightly, focusing all his strength. "I am the saint who blesses the world, the demon who sows countless evils. With the chaotic hand, I turn the order of fate. Be born, my first monster." Immediately after, a burst of golden light flared up, a system interface rose up, and then a yellow balloon appeared along with black smoke, manifesting before him with a sinister and excited face. The balloon suddenly startled him. The young man looked at that strange thing and turned to ask, "What the heck is this? Is that all?" "What I want is a head-shaped balloon, not some Halloween stuff." The marking system calmly replied, "Yes, that's great." He shouted angrily, "What's great about it?" At that moment, the spider spirit shattered the door, crawled its head in, and howled, "I'm coming in." The balloon he had just created frowned at the scene. He sighed in frustration, "You're even more cowardly than I am." The spider spirit went mad, rushing forward on 6 legs and 8 arms, shouting, "You all might as well accept death." The marking system sounded behind him. Minions who reach outstanding standards or above complete system achievements. Reward: increase the number of skill reinforcements. 10% of the fear balloon's power. Select the skill to reinforce. He yelled, "Can I charge in myself? Quickly grant me Radiant Light Emperor and Hellfire Immortal." Immediately, a fiery whip struck directly at the face of the spider spirit. It fell painfully to the floor, groaning, "What is happening to me?" He looked down at his hand holding the smoking rope and exclaimed in astonishment, "Is this power really mine?" The spider spirit turned around with an angry and annoyed face, growling, "Are you the awakened one?" At this moment, the young man looked around in confusion and asked the system behind him, "Am I considered an awakened one?" Before the system could reply, the spirit spider lunged forward, shouting, "The awakened one will obstruct our grand plan. You must die." Suddenly, his Halloween balloon shot out from nowhere in midair, its face not fierce but with just 2 chubby rosy cheeks. It turned out that the yellow string of the balloon had already been tightly wrapped around the spirit spider's neck. The monster struggled, sweat pouring all over its face, choking out, "What the hell is this?" Behind the balloon, he gripped the blazing red staff in his hand. The flickering flames reflected on his face. He whispered, "Well done, fear balloon. Hold it tight for me." With an ally to hold the opponent back, he concentrated all his power into his palm, the flames converging into a fierce, swirling vortex. He swung his arm, and the fire poured down, exploding into a blaze of fury, tearing the spirit spider's body in two and engulfing it in a sea of flames. "Hellfire spiral!" The spirit spider screamed madly, and before vanishing, it managed to hiss out a name, Lord Nacha. As the flames died down, only a cloud of ashes remained before him. Then a system panel appeared, reading, "Congratulations, host. You have received a rare transforming spider venom bag. Rated 1 star. He smiled softly, pleased with his victory, while the balloons circled around him excitedly. Finally, it's over. But at that moment, a dreadful scream came from outside. Ah, a monster! Help me! He was startled, ran to the window, flung the glass open, and stuck his head out. The scene outside left him speechless. Not only his house but all the surrounding homes were being swarmed by countless spirit spiders, attacking wildly. The spirit spiders covered the entire city, weaving enormous webs set as traps, tightly wrapping people inside to devour them. One victim was wrapped in silk, screaming and begging, "Help me, please, I don't want to die. Let me go. I still have a wife and children." In another house, a terrified man was trembling, his hands severed, too afraid to move as a monster crouched right outside the window. What is going on? Why are giant spiders flooding the city? Where is the special division? Hurry and come save us. Between two buildings, a massive web was stretched across, trapping many people on it. An excited spirit spider crawled onto the web, approaching the victims. The male lead stood by the window observing everything happening in the city, wondering why the urban defense system, which was supposed to autonomously counterattack, was not functioning. The phone lines were dead. Could it be that the defense system was paralyzed, or was something wrong with the people? He paused briefly in thought, then clenched his jaw firmly, determined to stop them. Otherwise, the entire city would become a sacrifice. Anger flared within him. If the incarnation of the evil god Ji and rampaged unchecked, everything would be destroyed. At that moment, the Shao-Chi balloon he had created was accidentally caught on a nail protruding from a wooden cabinet. It wasn't intentional, but that snag caused the cabinet to topple onto the floor, creating a loud noise. Fearing the sound would attract the spider spirits, Shao-Chi trembled in panic. He looked at what he had caused, sighed, and whispered, "You fool! Are you really a 2-star monster?" Suddenly, an idea struck him, his eyes gleaming as he looked toward the balloon. "Shao-Chi, you are a 2-star monster, right? Then it's your turn to take action next. If I can kill monsters with only 1/10 of your power, then surely you can do even better, can't you?" Hearing this, the balloon became excited and began spinning rapidly, its expression changing, a flame of determination flaring up. Around it appeared a blazing red circle swirling intensely, growing larger by the moment, engulfing the entire city. From there, explosions repeatedly erupted where the spider spirits were climbing on buildings, the radiant red light illuminating the skies. In another area of the city, a fierce battle was raging. A group of people wearing dark glasses fired wildly at the spider spirits. The man at the forefront squeezed the trigger while shouting loudly, "Die! All of you! Die for me!" Suddenly, a blazing stream of fire shot from afar straight into their formation, shocking them, urgently calling out in concern for their comrades. Before them appeared a giant spider spirit, many times larger than those before it. It opened its mouth wide, roaring amidst flames and smoke. "Ha ha ha! I am the priest of the Gusa spider god. Sacrifice your lives to his majesty Atlach-Nacha, the Great." At this moment, the team leader wearing dark glasses pointed directly at the monster's face, shouting orders. "Team 2, fall back and don't stand too close to the tall buildings. 4th stage awakened ones, prepare to attack." Immediately after, the awakened ones in suits at the back all struck simultaneously, unleashing skills: Iron Scythe, Wind Grasp, Raging Flame Spear, and Earth Ambush. All the skills concentrated on the powerful monster at once, causing it to stagger under the blows, but strangely, it still burst out laughing loudly, showing no sign of pain. The team leader began to feel uneasy, gritting his teeth and whispering, "Can't hurt it? Could it be this monster is about to ascend to spirit level?" He was frustrated, clenching his jaw tightly. "Damn it! With the strength of us 4th stage awakened, how can we possibly defeat it?" Another member spoke up. "Why hasn't General Li Xian returned yet?" The team leader decisively shouted, "Keep attacking. Absolutely do not let them break out of West City. Defend the market gate for me." Everyone replied in unison, "Understood." The soldiers continued to fire their guns, and the awakened ones kept unleashing skills. Fire bullets and magic rained relentlessly upon the common spider demons. At this point, the spider demon, on the verge of evolving, went berserk, screaming as it charged straight into the formation, sweeping fiercely. They really don't know their limits. Suddenly, a cold voice rang out. Spiderling, you and your master have crossed the line. A whip flashed forward, twisting and writhing like a snake. It struck straight at the spider's body, causing its whole body to blaze red hot. It screamed miserably, not knowing who was attacking it. Looking into the distance, atop a high-rise building, a glowing figure stood towering amid the smoke. The spider lifted its head and roared, asking, "Who are you?" And no one else but our prodigiously skilled male lead, holding a balloon in his hand, his face half smiling and half cold like a Halloween mask, appearing amidst the smoke and fire with a chillingly cool demeanor. The male lead's silhouette appeared at the top of the building. This time he wore a mask to conceal his identity. His voice lowered, cold and chilling. "Let the master behind you show himself. You are not yet worthy to speak with me." In the monster's bloodshot eyes, it saw him standing tall above, angrily roaring, "Arrogant fool! Do you think you are an eternal god? Don't think I'll fear you just because you know how to brag. A clown like you worthy to be compared to the great spider god." From above, he replied with a contemptuous tone. "Stupid thinking has indeed turned you into a pest. That head of yours is no longer useful." At this point, the giant spider roared, ordering the spider swarm, "Charge! Devour it for me!" The frenzied spiders piled over each other like a mountain, rushing straight toward the building where the male lead stood. Below, the captain shouted anxiously, "Brothers, run quickly!" Above, he pointed at Shao-Chi and commanded, "Do as before, amplify the absorbing aura for me." Immediately, the red circle around Shao-Chi expanded powerfully. Energy burst forth like a shockwave from the heart of the building, spreading throughout the city. The spider spirits were fiercely swept away by the red wave, each one destroyed with a booming explosion. Even the giant spider could not escape. The team leader was stunned by the scene, unable to believe his eyes. This power, could it be divine star level? The huge spider trembled, its entire body tightly gripped by the red energy. It screamed in pain. This is the power of the divine star. No, I have not yet become the ultimate demon beast. I cannot die now. Shao-Chi saw the monster was still alive and unleashed even more fierce power. The red wave surged again, crushing everything. The monster howled in agonizing despair. "No, this cannot be," until finally it uttered with bitter resentment, "No, I am unwilling." The giant spider spirit's massive body rapidly dissolved, leaving only bloodstains on the ground. Witnessing that scene, the team leader was completely shocked, mumbling, "What is this power? It's too strong. He has helped us. Turns out he's on our side." He quickly looked up and shouted loudly so the male lead on the building could hear, "Sir, please pause for a moment. May I ask your name?" High above, he turned his back and walked away, thinking to himself, "Why does everyone like to ask my name? Should I answer this time? If I say it out loud, maybe the special department will invite me back and give me some fancy gear. No, I can't. I still suffer from social anxiety. What if reporters come to interview me every day? Or worse, if they find out I haven't awakened yet but still have abilities, and scientists use me for research, what should I do?" After thinking for a while, amid the hazy smoke, the male lead's voice echoed down, "I have no name, nor do I need one. I am just a person forgotten by this world." Finishing his words, he immediately vanished into the dense smoke. Below, the team captain stood bewildered, watching him go. His mind echoed with the thought, "No name, forgotten by the world. Could this person be an ancient existence?" While he was still deep in thought, another voice called out from behind, "Has the dark god's ritual ended?" The team captain was startled and turned around, exclaiming, "General Lee!" Everyone behind also shouted in unison, "General Lee!" The man called General Lee stepped forward, looked around, and asked, "I received your distress signal and came immediately. How is the battle going? What about that ritual spider? Has it run away? or have you destroyed it? The team captain replied, Sir, it's been dealt with, but not by us. Hearing this, General Lee frowned, turning to look at the surroundings. Burnt spider corpses and remnants of battle everywhere. After a moment, he spoke in a deep voice. A person forgotten by the world, huh? The captain recounted the entire incident. After listening, he squinted, his gaze turning serious. The captain asked, General Lee, is there something wrong with this matter? General Lee replied slowly. If what you say is true, moreover the indifferent tone that person used when speaking to the evil god, then it is very likely he is an ancient being of the forbidden cavalry rank. Upon hearing this, the captain exclaimed in horror. What? A forbidden cavalry being? Even stronger than the evil god. Scene shifts to the south. After defeating the spider spirits, he strolled alone through a deserted alley. As he walked, he muttered to himself, Tonight's haul is quite substantial. Half an hour ago, I was just an ordinary person. Yet now everything has completely changed. Suddenly, he stopped, remembering something. I almost forgot. The altar that those foolish evil spirits set up is still intact. Though the evil spirits were all killed by the terrifying balloons, the altar and offerings remain unchanged. I wonder if they will cause more trouble. He sighed softly. I just want to live a peaceful life in Hang City. Saying that, he looked up at the night scene of the city, where enormous spider webs still covered several street corners. He continued deeper into a smaller alley, where dried bloodstains were scattered about. At the end of the alley, he discovered an old door, pushed it gently open and stepped inside. Inside the dim room, a faintly glowing seal lay on the ground, and directly above it stood a statue of a grotesque monster. He gripped his weapon tightly, with Shao-Chi floating beside him. His eyes settled on the scattered corpses around the room as his voice deepened. I have already killed them all. Everyone can now rest in peace. Having finished speaking, he swung his hand, and a blast of red flames shot fiercely from the whip, enveloping the entire room. The flames rose high, consuming the bodies along with the statue of the monster. He watched silently, his gaze resting on a few remaining dark fragments on the monster statue. He softly said, So, it's not black diamond, but obsidian. Then isn't this an amulet against evil? He quickly picked up the round pieces, eyes sparkling with eagerness. Anyway, the quality is good. I can probably sell this for a hefty sum, he muttered excitedly. Standing before the strange statue, he suddenly realized something felt off. What kind of statue smells fragrant? But on second thought, the material it was made from must be extraordinary. He immediately asked the dark system, can I extract from this statue? The system promptly replied, You can. At once, he extended his hand, a light radiating strongly from his palm. Then extract, he ordered sharply. Underneath the circle of the seal, the statue began to spin violently, light bursting and illuminating the entire room. The young man happily reached out to grab the object he had just produced, exclaiming joyfully, Extraction successful! But before he could touch it, he suddenly froze. The entire surrounding space began to crack and fracture. He stood frozen, bewildered, watching each fissure widen. Time and space seemed to be tearing apart. What was happening? A second later, the entire space collapsed, and he was sucked into the endless void. The male protagonist fell from reality into a dark illusion. Then suddenly, a giant spiderweb caught him. He looked down at his hand, a feeling of unease swelling inside him. Spider silk? This room connected to another space? As he finished speaking, a red light flashed past his face, and a chilling wind howled fiercely. Before his eyes, a skull appeared amid swirling black smoke. This time, the evil god at Lachnacha truly had appeared. The evil god of the spiders was also a spider, but with many more eyes, more legs, and enormous in size. At this moment, our protagonist had fallen straight into its lair. He struggled to lift himself, pressing his hands down to stand, his face pale with fear. Do not look up, do not look straight, he told himself. If I do, I'm surely dead. A violent sense of unease surged in his mind, painful and discomforting, as if his brain was about to be torn apart. Suddenly, large lumps rose on his head, identical to the tumors on the evil god's body. Then spider legs, slender and writhing terrifyingly, sprouted from his back. He clutched his head and screamed in despair. Amid the panic, in his imagination, a giant pair of scissors appeared, tearing the warped space in two. It was his dark system that acted. She appeared, severing the illusion, causing the evil deity to immediately activate its defense mode. He looked up, still trembling, dazedly murmuring, "Is this the system?" Fortunately for our protagonist, the dark system appeared just in time. She spun the gigantic scissors in her hand vigorously, the blades rotating in midair as her voice echoed. "If you want to break the barrier and leave illusory dream, the countdown is 10 seconds. Please, host, prepare yourself. 10, 9, 8, 7. At this moment, he was still dazed, not yet understanding what was happening. Unexpectedly, the system's power was so overwhelming that a single strike severed the link between him and the evil deity, completely eradicating the anomaly within his body. The system's voice continued counting, 6, 5. He smiled slightly, a surge of confidence rising within him. If it had come to this, there was nothing left to fear. He sprang to his feet, raised his hand, and brilliant light burst forth from his palm. He shouted loudly, "You old bastard, it was hard enough for me to get here, so let me bring you some local specialties." Immediately, the gigantic body of the spider-like evil deity trembled violently. Its nest was destroyed, leaving only a heap of blackened ruins. It roared, "Which bastard dares my body?" Near the protagonist, a rotating protective barrier appeared, its light flickering. The system counted down, 3, 2, 1, 0. He quickly dashed toward the barrier, not forgetting to wave goodbye. "See you later, bye-bye." Immediately afterward, his body was sucked into the barrier and then released back into the real world. In front of him was Xiao-Qi, who was utterly confused upon seeing the system's owner standing there, his whole body covered in dust and ash. He looked around, holding a strange spider silk roll in his hand, then turned to Xiao-Qi with a radiant smile and said, "It's a success. I've returned. Wait, isn't this my room?" The system beside him clapped its hands. "Pat pat. Congratulations, host. You faced the dark god and survived successfully, completing the achievement Survivor Facing the Dark God. Level 2 of 5 unlocked. Current authority level 1. A system panel immediately appeared before him, displaying fragments of the illusory dream bridge. These fragments fell from the illusory dream bridge and were carved onto the altar walls by dark god cultists. They can temporarily open the illusory dream bridge but can only be used once. Do you wish to confront the dark god? He furrowed his brow, wondering, authority? What kind of authority is that? The system replied, each time the authority level increases, the host will receive a random treasure chest containing one or more ingredients of no less than star rating. However, there is also a chance it might be empty. His eyes widened. What? A gambling chest? And it can still be empty? Speaking, he opened the new item in his hand and asked, "Help me check what this ingredient is." The system panel immediately popped up. Spider God of Evil, 5-star rank. These threads are drawn from the body of a nameless evil god, spider-shaped but not actually a spider. It is a deity that cannot be looked at directly. Anyone who does will go insane and die. Its threads carry divine power, causing anyone who touches them to easily fall into madness. At this point, he spoke up, 5-star materials? Isn't this just a single thread? Wait, if next time I can take the poison gland or something similar from that evil god, wouldn't that be at least a 6-star material? Here, in the middle of the room, he bowed his head in thought. Some low-star materials can create morning star monsters powerful enough to destroy an entire city, yet I only receive 1/10 of the power of my kin. If I had enough high-grade raw materials, could I create a god? Thinking this, our protagonist held his stomach and chuckled softly. Better not dwell too much on that. Becoming a god isn't that easy. And even if one becomes a god, so what? Evil gods are everywhere out there. Suddenly, loud knocking sounded at the door. He startled and turned around. Someone outside called out, "Hello? We are from the special department. Please open the door." The young man panicked. The special department? Xiao-Qi, Hide quickly. Don't reveal yourself. After ensuring Xiaoqi was concealed, he slowly went to the door. At this moment, in front of him stood a beautiful, lively, and cheerful short-haired girl who introduced herself. Hello, I am Ning Xian from the Special Department. Do you know if this building has been attacked by cultists or monsters? The male protagonist noticed that the girl was holding a pistol in her hand, and her stance was ready, able to fire at any moment. He then put on an innocent face and said, I know the monsters knocked on my door earlier, but I hid in the closet and pretended nobody was home, so I escaped. The woman glanced over him once and thought silently. No signs of abnormalities on his body, nor any aura of the cult. I preliminarily judge him to be a civilian. Then she said, May I check your room a bit? He nodded. Sure. So the girl confidently entered his room. The male protagonist said, My wall has been broken through. Will the insurance cover that? Have those spider monsters been dealt with yet? The girl, after carefully observing the room, replied, It's good you're still alive. You even want a refund? The fat guy next door is in a terrible state, like a candle melting in spider webs all gone. As she said this, she suddenly made a phone call to report, only one survivor on the 7th floor, no external injuries or cult aura. The person on the other end replied, Understood. Thank you for your hard work. Tomorrow you can return to the Information and Communication Department. Immediately, the girl turned to speak to the male lead without noticing that her phone was still on. Today has truly been exhausting. At such a crucial moment, we still had to split up to work. And the most important thing is, I won't be paid and have to work overtime. This time, after returning, we also have to find that childish old man who went out carrying a yellow balloon. Her words referred to him. But at that moment, she didn't realize that the man carrying the yellow balloon was standing right in front of her. The male lead said, Then why haven't you turned off your phone? A voice came from inside the phone. Ning Xian. Write a self-criticism report and return within 5 minutes. So the superior had heard everything she said. She hurriedly ran off, crying, Sorry, Captain. I was wrong. I'll return immediately. And that was the end of it. Our male lead considered himself lucky to have just avoided a disaster. He turned back into the room and firmly shut the door. Phew, finally. They have all left. Only now did he suddenly remember that there seemed to be something he still hadn't done. A little while later, outside the city, on a deserted road, someone picked up a piece of paper. On the paper was a strange drawing. It depicted a beautiful girl with white hair. She picked up the paper and smiled mysteriously, her eyes sparkling with excitement. In a street corner, the fire department was deployed to quell the chaos caused by the spider demons. On the news screen, the bulletin reported, Last night, the North Hangti area was attacked by the spider cult. There were 115 victims, among whom 74 survived. The investigation is still ongoing. Meanwhile, our male lead is still sound asleep, annoyed by the noise around his ears. It's too noisy. It's the voice of Xiaoqi, who is trying to wake his owner. He jolts awake and snaps his fingers, sending Xiaoqi flying to one side. Get out of the way. By this time, it's already morning. He slowly sits up and sighs wearily. Xiaoqi turns to look curiously at the hole in the wall. He follows its gaze. The wind. Looks like I'll still have to get someone to fix it. He begins to change his clothes, unaware that someone is standing far away, looking up at his room. It is the girl who picked up the piece of paper last night. She stands still, intently staring at the hole in his wall. After changing, Lu Yu goes down to the street for a walk. He wanders down the road, feeling a bit strange. I remember there was a repair company here. Suddenly, someone calls his name. Lu Yu. He turns around, confused. A girl approaches, greeting cheerfully. Lu Yu, why are you in the East District? He recognizes her as Tang Wan. He shyly scratches his head and says, My house was attacked. I came here to find someone to fix it. Tang Wan steps closer, worried, asking, Did you get hurt? Lu Yu replies, No, I'm fine. She smiles, her cheeks slightly flushed. Then come have breakfast with me. The two seem to have feelings for each other that they haven't yet expressed. Lu Yu feels a little shy but replies, Sure. So they strolled the streets together, eating breakfast as they went, without speaking a word. Lu Yu felt curious and secretly glanced at the cute girl beside him. Why did she keep following him like that? Even as classmates, there was no need to be that close. They had studied together for 3 years in high school, but only occasionally greeted each other. Moreover, Tang Wan was someone who always attracted attention and respect from everyone. While he was just an ordinary person, she was an orphan who spent all day drawing without even knowing what she was drawing. Thinking of that, he told himself not to dwell on the past but to focus on the present. Yesterday, he had collected quite a lot of materials from spiders and dark gods. He wondered if he could create a new familiar. While eating, Lu Yu suddenly sensed that something was unusual. Tang Wan noticed his strange behavior and immediately approached to ask, "What's wrong?" His expression changed instantly as thoughts flooded his mind. He hurriedly said goodbye to the adorable Tang Wan. "I have something to do. I'll go ahead." He left in a rush, and Tang Wan watched him go, softly saying, "All right, see you next time." Then, she took out her phone, the screen displaying a picture of Lu Yu. She smiled softly and spoke in a gentle voice. "Indeed, he's not at all dull." After that, Tang Wan returned to her house. As she walked slowly, she murmured to herself, "I was too bold today. I wonder if I made him suspicious." Opening her room door, she kept thinking about Lu Yu. Probably not. A strange smile briefly appeared on Tang Wan's face. She gently placed her finger on her lips, her cheeks slightly flushed. Vague thoughts and strange imaginations about him, which she often thought of every night, appeared again in her mind. She thought, he probably won't find out. She raised her small, fair hand to turn on the light. As the light came on, the room became clear. The walls were covered with pictures of Lu Yu. Tang Wan softly said in a sweet voice, "I'm home, Lu Yu." On the carefully arranged shelves were items that once belonged to him. There were even a few strands of hair. The entire room, from the walls, the hugging pillow to the floor, was filled with images of Lu Yu. She reached out and took a shirt from the shelf, gently brought it to her nose and took a deep breath. Then she lay back on the soft bed, next to a giant hugging pillow printed with his image. In the silent space, Tang Wan placed her hand on a sensitive spot and softly called out, "Lu Yu." The scene cut to Lu Yu, who suddenly felt a chill run down his spine. For some unknown reason, he shivered lightly, looked around, and mumbled, "Why is it so cold today?" Lu Yu returned home in high spirits. "Haha. Finally managed to sort everything out. In a few days, someone will come to renovate the house. Shao Qi is flying over too," he exclaimed, cheering. "Da-da." He immediately pinched its yellowish face. "Shao Qi, don't make noise. I haven't had lunch yet." At that moment, Lu Yu quickly opened the system to see exactly what documents he had obtained yesterday. On the system display panel, there is 1 deformed spider venom sac rated 1 star, 5 normal deformed spider venom sacs rated 1 star each, 1 mutated, deformed action reaction sac rated 3 stars, and 1 web of the epic spider rated 5 stars, a 3-star twisted mutated egg from the template of a deformed spider, and a phantom beast about to transform into a morning star, continuously corroded by blood and flesh and the breath of the dark god. It has gained great potential unlike the template phantom beast. Since it is still unborn, the star level is determined by potential, not by strength. After reading this far, Lu Yu decisively pierced right through the system panel and asked, "An egg? I don't seem to see one." He then reached into the system space to search with his hand. At that moment, he recalled the giant creature from the day before. A daughter? That hoarse voice and those dark circles under the eyes. Could that really be a girl? Aren't all girls like that? Thinking so, he paid closer attention to that oddly shaped egg, turning it over and studying it. Is it alive? System, where are you? Immediately, the dark system with 3 bright glowing rings appeared. "I'm always right here." As soon as he saw the system, Lu Yu immediately asked, "Is this egg considered a living entity? Can it be modified into material?" The system replied, "Creatures in forms like unhatched eggs, and embryos are still regarded as raw material. If the creature has already taken shape and is about to emerge from its cocoon, it cannot be altered." Hearing this, he looked deeply at the egg in his hand and said, "So that's how it is. It seems this thing can't be kept for too long." Xiao Qi right beside him also pretended to be thoughtful. Lu Yu turned to it, stroked its head, and smiled, saying, "Good girl, good girl." He then looked up and asked the system, "So can I use these materials to enhance Xiao Qi?" It responded, "The host's authority is insufficient. This cannot be done temporarily. You should create new abilities." Lu Yu said, "Doing that would make me less worried about Xiao Qi keeping up with the future monsters." Immediately, he raised his hand and selected a power for the egg. With swirling light, he said, "System, initiate adjustment." At that moment, Lu Yu beamed and extracted a broken pocket watch, adding it to the deformed spider venom bag. Right after, the system promptly added the watch for Lu Yu. Quickly, 3 or 4 objects floating in midair began to combine under the stream of light. Then, a watch fell to the floor, the light extinguished, leaving only the egg gently hovering. Seeing this scene, Lu Yu was stunned. "Is it broken?" Then, he leaned down to look at the watch that was emitting strange electric sparks and wondered, could it have been absorbed, leaving only an empty shell? At that moment, the system approached the watch. She sat down intending to pick it up and said, "This pocket watch has been infected with the blood of another evil god. Most evil gods repel each other. For example, the 2 sects of the distant ancient Shi tribe and the young lord of the nightmare deep sea. Due to the enmity between these gods, they attack one another." Hearing this, Lu Yu asked in confusion, "Is this an interdimensional war?" Immediately, the system picked up the watch, handed it to Lu Yu with both hands, and said, "Only when you obtain higher authority can you intervene in the karmic relationships between these evil gods, so they can coexist within a spell. The best current solution is to use high-grade materials to assimilate similar lower-grade materials." Lu Yu took the watch, holding it in one hand and the spider egg in the other. He looked at the system and said, "Demon silk is a high-grade material. These should be saved for next time. For now, let's use the spider egg and the twisted poison pouch to start adding." So once again, Lu Yu selected on the system and used the spider egg along with the twisted poison pouch. Before him, they began to transform, like a lump of flesh bubbling and shifting. Immediately, the system displayed, "Congratulations, host has received a second void shadow spider egg. Rating, excellent, 4 stars. Countdown to egg hatching, 1 month." After reading, he finally realized that 2 was already the limit. Then, Lu Yu suggested, "Let me see the attributes." On the system notification, the void shadow spider egg was formed from the body of a basic fat boa spider. It had been contaminated by the blood of an unnamed evil god, transforming it into a creature with void attributes. Because it encompasses the power of time and darkness, it is connected to the river of time. The creature's shadow and time are its best food. Accordingly, the system board also displayed detailed information about other items. A void poison bag, which can inject void elements causing the living creature's body to collapse. A time mark, passive, with a weak connection to the river of time, maintaining the body's breath and isolating it from most curious eyes. Dark slaves, each time it absorbs a certain amount of dark particles, the void shadow spider will create a dark slave. These spider-like forms, up to 10, can hide in darkness, serving both as assassins and slaves. Void protection, creatures born to drift in the void, can create their own space to store non-living objects. The stronger the creature, the larger the space it can create. After reading everything, Lu Yu thought to himself, "A creature born at the morning star level? Isn't this attribute way too strong? But it takes up to a month to hatch, which is good. During that time, I can learn more about the levels and the division of power in the world of the awakened." Hearing that, the system raised 2 fingers and said, "Congratulations, host, on creating an elite monster and completing the achievement Elite Creator. The reward is 1/10 of the void spider's power and the right to choose 2 skills to strengthen yourself." Lu Yu narrowed his eyes. "Wait, hold on a moment." Immediately, his body suddenly swelled like a balloon, and thick red energy spread all over him. Lu Yu's face twisted, his eyes blazing red like fire. He roared while veins bulged all across his face. At this moment, he was trying to stay calm, secretly thinking, "Damn, am I about to be killed by this creature's own energy?" Meanwhile, Xiaoqi beside him was extremely confused. The power inside the body was too great. Right now, Xiaoqi's owner was very flustered, and it was confused as well. At this moment, Lu Yu turned to look at Xiaoqi and thought that he had to find a way. Otherwise, he would be crushed by this species' power. If there was a balloon about to burst, how should one handle it? The fastest way for air to escape a balloon is through the nozzle. But that method was useless because he wasn't a normal balloon and couldn't dissipate energy through his mouth or nose. The balloon's surface wasn't completely sealed. There were countless tiny molecular holes to let air escape, but this was also useless. By the time he ran out of energy, the grass on his grave would probably be 3 meters tall. At this moment, Lu Yu's face gradually tensed. He clenched his teeth. By now, the only option was to turn the living fire into dead fire. Then, Lu Yu took out the Hellfire Whip and snapped it forcefully. The whip flew in circles. The fire whip lengthened, striking wildly all around the room. The wave of power radiated throughout the building and even affected the surrounding structures. Many people immediately noticed. Was that a strange phenomenon or what? Afterward, Lu Yu finally returned to his normal state. He told himself that although he had consumed a good deal of energy, his strength and limits seemed much higher than yesterday. Beside him, the system spoke up. Master, I notice your physique is a bit weak. Should I slow down the power transmission next time? Lu Yu looked up and said, please transmit more slowly next time. I don't want to get blown up. Now, he stared at the system for a long moment without saying anything. Then, the system spoke again. Next, host, which abilities will you choose? Lu Yu promptly replied, Time Mark and Shadow Slave. Currently, I'm not lacking offensive tactics. Immediately, following the master's command, the dark system confirmed. She transmitted a dense black energy surrounding him, making the entire room brightly illuminated. Right after, a glowing circle appeared on Lu Yu's right hand, like a symbol carved into his skin. He looked at it, somewhat surprised. The system displayed the information. Owner, Lu Yu. Species, Fearful Shadow Balloon. Void Phantom Spider. Not Yet Born. Skills, Hellfire Whip. Absorbing Halo. Time Mark. Shadow Slave. Authority, 1-star monster creator. Material storage, Twisted Venom Bag. Demon God Spider Silk. At this moment, Lu Yu turned to rub Xiaoqi's head and said, This spider has 8 legs. From now on, it will be called Xiao Ba. He laughed and asked, Xiaoqi, look at your comrades. Do you think the name I gave is good? Xiaoqi nodded repeatedly, seeming to like it very much. Just then, a noise came from outside the door. Lu Yu looked around in surprise and thought, Is someone else coming again? He stepped out to open the door. It was Ning Xian. She had come once again to find him. Xian, hello? It's me again. Have you seen what's happening outside? Lu Yu asked in confusion. What's going on? Ning Xian looked at Lu Yu suspiciously. Huh? You don't know this time? What are you doing? Why are you sweating all over? People say you startled easily, and it seems true. Lu Yu didn't dare look Ning Xian straight in the eye and replied, I was just exercising. Haha, hearing strange noises. Ning Xian said, Oh, it seems I hear something nearby. Lu Yu's heart pounded. I don't hear anything. Ning Xian moved closer to the foot of the bed to investigate. At this moment, nothing was visible. Ning Xian took out a small pen and scratched her head, looking curious. Strange. The informant said it came from this building. She didn't notice that a bubble was floating right behind her head. Feeling that something was off, Ning Xian turned to look, only to see Xiaoqi quickly slip behind her head to hide, then gently flew down to Ning Xian's back while she remained completely unaware. When entering Lu Yu's room, she saw nothing unusual. Ning Xian turned to look at him, apparently realizing she had misjudged the situation. Sorry to bother you, Xiaoqi, she said. Lu Yu scratched his head sheepishly and replied, Haha, just cooperating with the police. It's part of a citizen's duty during the investigation. Ning Xian said cheerfully, Don't train too hard next time. No girl likes the smell of sweat. Lu Yu turned away shyly. I remember now, Miss Ning. Ning Xian smiled politely at him with a slightly warmer tone, saying, Not bad. You still remember my last name. After Ning Exine left, Lu Yu closed the door firmly and sighed in relief. Finally, she's gone. Then he looked around the room again but couldn't find Xiaoqi anywhere. Wait a minute. Where did Xiaoqi disappear to? As he ran outside, Lu Yu was startled to see that Xiaoqi had followed Ning Exine for some time. He shouted, "Damn it, you little dummy. Come back here." Scene changes to Ot Truong Chinese Market, where Lu Yu has come to find someone. As he stepped in, he saw a person sitting at the counter, intently playing a game. That person said, "Feel free to look around, and if you see anything you like, just give a shout." Lu Yu nodded. After taking a look around, there were many adorable animals locked inside iron cages here. He thought to himself that it seemed the owner wouldn't care about what he was doing. He immediately noticed a cute white rabbit and looked at it happily. He silently decided, "So, it's you." Lu Yu reached out his hand, and a black smoke surrounded the rabbit. He said a phrase, "Servant of Shadows." The smoke instantly transformed into a pair of scissors that encircled the rabbit. At this moment, the rabbit was infected with the attribute of the sinister smoke and bowed respectfully to Lu Yu. He was delighted, thinking to himself that it seemed like a success. The reason he did this stemmed from what he had discovered this afternoon. He recalled standing in front of the system panel and realizing that thanks to this special skill, he could create another human-like form. This was good. Servants in human form would no longer be associated with the cult and would be easier for humans to accept, possessing both combat abilities and the capacity to work. At that time, he could even create a small group of people to serve, massage his back, or cook for him, like the Shadow Demon Legion Xiaoyu summoned in the anime. Thinking this through, he suddenly wondered just where he would get the shadows and life from bad people or animals. After pondering, he realized it was impossible. Those people had surely been targeted by the army, humans, and the awakened ones already. Back in the present, Lu Yu looked at the shadow in his hand and thought to himself, "So this is why I came here to experiment on animals, and really didn't expect it to be effective. The only issue is that this shadow isn't enough to solidify and form into a human shape." At that moment, Lu Yu turned to ask the shop owner, who was still busy playing a game. "Boss, how much is this rabbit cage?" The owner mumbled, "What? A cage?" He walked over to the animal cages, pointed at one and said, "In this cage there are 13 rabbits, each priced at 100 yuan. Since you're a big customer, I'll charge you 1,200. Okay." After hearing the owner's reply, Lu Yu was briefly startled. "What, that expensive?" The owner replied, "What's so expensive about it? The outside world is in chaos like that, so the price of these rabbits is actually quite normal." Right after that, Lu Yu tried to ask further, "What about the bird in the cage and the little white mouse?" The owner happily responded, "Such a huge customer. Well then, if you add them all up, I'll give you a 10% discount, plus free shipping. How about that?" Seemed acceptable, and Lu Yu agreed. The owner quickly approached the metal cages, operated them, and said, "Let me count how many there are. You guys are really lucky. Enjoy a wonderful life with my big customer." Okay? After buying the little animals back to his room, they lay dead all over the floor. Lu Yu stood in the middle, feeling dizzy but still alert. He thought to himself, this really is creating karma, probably enough to summon a servant now. After speaking, Lu Yu raised his hand, grimaced, flames ignited all around, then shouted loudly, "Come out, shadow servants." Immediately, the shadows he created began to deform, growing arms, legs, and heads. Right in front of Lu Yu, 3 distorted bodies slowly appeared. Moving with difficulty, trembling, he said, "Stand still so I can carefully examine your structure first." The shadows were now completely black, with 2 eyes shining brightly like twin flames. The only thing they looked at was Lu Yu. Suddenly, his body froze. The entire space seemed distorted, with many characters burning and swirling all around him. Lu Yu stiffened, feeling as if he was falling into a void, unable to stand firm. Suddenly, a pale hand of the demon god system grasped his hand just in time. She appeared beneath a brilliant light, detected an unidentified aura, confirmed it was of dangerous level, and automatically eliminated it. The demon god system had appeared in time to pull Lu Yu back, startling him. On the hand of the demon god system, A stream of faint blue energy suddenly appeared, flickering mysteriously within the smoke. Then, the system pointed at the dark masses, instantly shattering them into pieces. At this moment, the demons revealed themselves, jostling and screaming loudly, but soon after, they all dissipated and fled. Lu Yu finally recovered his composure, thinking silently how dangerous it was, and that she had saved his life again. He widened his eyes looking ahead and exclaimed, "I just wanted to feel some connection with the servant, but I almost got absorbed by those shadows, nearly becoming food for that nameless entity." The system answered with arms crossed, unsure if that existence still paid attention to the host. "So I still hope the host will be more careful in the future and not recklessly merge with other energy sources, even if it is energy you have received." Lu Yu looked at the ragtag group and said, "Does that mean that the deep origin of each type of energy has a separate existence?" The system was silent for a moment, then replied it cannot be revealed, still hoping the host will quickly increase their authority. Lu Yu smiled slightly. "It seems I am not yet qualified to uncover the truth of this world." He pointed in a different direction and said, "So now I can safely touch them, right?" The system responded, "That's correct. The rights to kill and seize are all in the host's hands." Hearing that, Lu Yu steadied himself and slowly approached the demons. He spoke out, "What abilities do you have? Show me quickly." Immediately, the darkness gathered into a mass, then fell to the ground like a puddle of mud, appearing clearly right in front of Lu Yu. At this moment, after demonstrating their skills, all the demonic forces vanished. Lu Yu then approached the nearly dying little creatures, looking them over before saying, "Their hiding ability is strong, and their energy fluctuations are very weak." He frowned tightly and said sternly, "Attack me." Immediately, 3 dark figures wielding swords rushed towards Lu Yu, who stood still to gauge the direction. At that moment, a swirling light appeared around Lu Yu's left finger. He quickly summoned a fiery whip and swung it straight at the 3 dark shadows, knocking them sprawling far away. The dark shadow figures were flung aside by him. One was even scorched by the whip's flames, suffering severe damage. On this side, Lu Yu said, "After all, they are servants. Exchanging a few thousand yuan to become immortal is not possible. Hellfire, extinguish quickly." Then the flames around one of the ghosts obeyed him and gradually died down. At this moment, he pondered that, in this experiment, he had performed division and separately isolated the 3 types of animals. The bird-type servant corresponds to 1.2 complete units, while the small rabbit equals 1.4. If I used the shadow of a tiger, leopard, or bear, the power would surely be greater, right? And if I used a human shadow, would the subordinate's intelligence increase? Curiosity surged within Lu Yu, but he sighed and said it still feels somewhat unsettling to use the same species. At this time, the shadows he created began to shrink, and he startled, turning around. "Wait, are you actually getting smaller?" The shadows looked at their master bewilderedly, then gradually shrank down to knee height. Standing before them, he saw them gradually dissolving into a pool of thick black water. Lu Yu said, "All right, you guys go explore the unusual situation around here, and if you discover anything, report back to me immediately." So they immediately shifted, the thick black mucus absorbing into the floor and then slowly disappearing. Lu Yu watched them and said, "Truly convenient, and they're even smarter than I thought." At this moment, he was tired and leaned back on the bed. Although he now had enough strength to protect himself and even servants who could assassinate and gather intelligence. His power originally came from monsters, and he had never undergone training or cultivation. Though strong, he didn't know how to use his strength. He also said, "It would be great if I could receive comprehensive knowledge about areas related to the awakened, like cultivation or magical disciplines. They not only have powerful forces but also hold a lot of strange information. If I knew something, I could surely gather more materials." Although Zhou Zheng's group performed very well, he only represented the awakened under the 9th tier and couldn't stand for elite warriors on par with or beyond the Morning Star level. At this point, the system spoke again. "Host, if you want to know more about the world of the awakened, why not ask online?" Lu Yu turned and asked, "Online? There are too many fake news on the internet. Will it really be useful for me?" The demon god system replied, "Try it, you'll know after you do." A moment later, following the system's instruction, Luyu decided to use the computer to access the internet. After searching for information, he exclaimed, "Oh, all shallow questions." On the screen, he saw content like, "Can awakened people extend their lifespan? What do awakened people like to eat? Are there any genuine grandmasters? Do awakened people have their own forums or chat rooms? Their world is truly mysterious. Are the descendants of awakened people also awakened?" Luyu himself didn't expect so many people to be interested in these questions.